Hello, and welcome to English in Daily Life. I'm your host, Hassan, and today we're diving into a topic that's both universal and uniquely cultural: the evening routine. Specifically, what does a typical evening look like in Canada? To help us explore this, I'm joined by Sarah. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Hassan. It's a great topic. How we spend our evenings says a lot about our lifestyle, and it definitely changes with the seasons here.
It really does. So let's start at the beginning of the end of the day. You've finished work, you've closed your laptop or walked in the door. What is the very first thing you do to transition from work life to home life?
For me, the key word is decompress. The absolute first thing is changing out of my work clothes and into what I call comfy clothes: sweatpants, a hoodie, something soft. It's a mental switch. It signals that the productive part of the day is over.
Right, the uniform change. I completely get that. It draws a line in the sand.
Exactly. Especially in the winter when it gets dark so early. You come inside from the cold, and the immediate goal is to get as cozy as possible. That means warm slippers, a thick sweater, and maybe putting the kettle on for tea right away.
That makes sense. It's funny how the seasons dictate that so much. In the summer, my instinct is the opposite. I get home and I want to stay outside. Maybe I'll water the plant on the balcony or just sit with a cold drink and enjoy that beautiful evening light we get.
Oh, for sure. You have to soak up every minute of those long summer days. They're precious. But okay, you're home, you're comfortable. What's next on your agenda? I'm guessing food is involved.
Food is definitely involved. This is where my routine can go one of two ways. If I've planned ahead, I'll have something that I've meal prepped. If not, I'm staring into the fridge facing that classic question: what's for dinner?
I know that stare very well. I try to cook from scratch most weeknights, but I keep it simple. Things like a quick pasta, a stir fry, or maybe just an omelet. But some days you just don't have the energy, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's when takeout comes to the rescue. One of the best things about living in most Canadian cities is the variety of food you can get. On my street alone, I can get incredible Thai, Italian, or Middle Eastern food. It's a lifesaver.
Totally. And ordering a pizza on a Friday night is practically a Canadian tradition. It's a way of saying, the week is done, I'm not cooking.
A Friday ritual for sure. Okay, so dinner's finished. The dishes are, let's be honest, probably stacked in the sink for later.
Yes, let's be realistic about that.
How do you spend the main part of your evening, say from 7 to 10 p.m.?
I really try to get away from screens for at least an hour. My brain is just buzzing after a day of work emails and meetings. I might listen to a podcast while I do that tidying up I mentioned, or I'll just sit and read a book. It feels like a luxury.
That sounds lovely. I have to admit, I often fall into the trap of streaming something. There's always a new series on Netflix or Crave or CBC Gem. And if it's hockey season, you can bet I'm watching the game. It's almost a national duty.
Right, of course. Can't miss the hockey game. I also try to connect with people. I'll call my parents who live in a different province or video chat with a friend. The evenings are really my only time for that deep, unhurried kind of conversation.
That's a great point. And what about socializing? Do you often have people over on a weeknight?
Not so much on weeknights, that feels more like a weekend thing. But in the summer, it's different. A casual weeknight BBQ in the backyard is very common. The evenings are so long and pleasant, it feels like a waste to be indoors.
Speaking of hobbies, do you find you have energy for personal projects in the evening? I always have grand plans to work on my photography or learn a guitar, but by the time dinner is done, the couch often wins.
Ah, the classic battle between ambition and the comfort of the couch. I know it well. I found the trick is to have a dedicated, small amount of time for it. For example, I've gotten into watercolor painting recently. I tell myself just 15 minutes. Sometimes it turns into an hour, and sometimes it really is just 15 minutes. But either way, it feels like a little victory.
Backyard BBQs are peak Canadian summer. That's a perfect evening right there. So as the night starts to wrap up, what does your wind down routine look like? How do you get ready for bed?
It becomes very practical. I do a quick sweep of the apartment, load the dishwasher, and get things ready for the next morning. I'll pack my lunch, decide what I'm going to wear.
Yeah, setting up your future self for success.
Exactly. Then I do the most Canadian thing imaginable. I check the weather forecast for the next day obsessively.
Yes, you have to. You need to know if you're facing a blizzard, a heat wave, or just a regular Tuesday. It dictates your entire wardrobe and commute time.
It really does. After that, it's the usual bedtime hygiene routine. I try to stay off my phone for about 30 minutes before I want to be asleep. I'll make a cup of herbal tea, like peppermint or chamomile, and read in bed until my eyes get heavy.
That's the ideal, isn't it? The no phone rule is hard to stick to, but it makes such a difference. I'll set my alarm, make sure the doors are locked, and then usually listen to a calming podcast to drift off.
It seems we have pretty similar end-of-day rituals.
I think so. It sounds like the typical Canadian evening routine is a real blend of being practical for the next day, embracing the coziness required by our climate, and connecting with the people or hobbies that help us recharge.
That's a perfect summary. It's about finding that balance between winding down and setting up for tomorrow.
Well, Melody, thank you so much for walking us through your evening. It was great to chat with you.
My pleasure, Avery. Thanks for having me.
And a big thank you to our listeners for tuning in to English in Daily Life. We'll catch you on the next one.